Forms UX. What do users want from forms? Forms UX. If you need to collect data at any point, you're going to need to use a form. A good form makes interacting with your business a pleasure, and a bad one makes it a chore. What do users want from forms? Well, most users would rather do anything but fill in a form. And if you keep that in mind, you'll understand that what they want is to spend as little time as possible filling in your form, to clearly understand what information you need in each field, to give you as little information as they can, to believe that their data is safe with you, and to finish the form in one go, but to be able to return to the form without having lost any data. This is a consideration that's particularly important for mobile users who may be distracted several times when they fill in a form on your site. And what do businesses want from forms? Well, businesses can have conflicting objectives with the users on the use of forms. In particular, it's not unknown for marketing departments to want every form to act as a major data collection exercise, and this should be resisted where possible. Common and compatible business objectives for forms include forms that support purchasing transactions and minimize dropout rates, forms that bring all the essential data for a transaction together, forms that collect some additional data for marketing or business intelligence, forms that transfer clean data to their databases in the right formats, and forms that facilitate agreements with users such as T's and C's confirmation, and forms that encourage sign-up for newsletters, marketing communication, etc. How do you present forms for a good UX? Well, the exact content of your forms vary based on user and business requirements. There are some useful tips, though, for creating good UX from a form. You should group data logically. If you split long forms into chunks of related information, they're much easier to follow. Lay out data vertically. Scrolling down is natural, and scrolling across is not. It also prevents users from missing fields. Mark mandatory fields. If you simply must have a piece of information, make it very clear to the user. Have a call to action. What does the user do when they filled in your form? Make that clear too. You should also use plain and clear labels. Use the user's language and don't allow for any confusion. It should be obvious what each field requires in the way of input. If you require a specific data format, structure the field for that. Offer help text. If a user isn't clear on what they need to do, offer some support to make it even clearer. Use default options to help, not hinder. If all your customers are from the UK, then having your default country set to the US is annoying. It's not helpful. If they're all in the US, it's incredibly helpful. Dates are best selected from calendars rather than being inputted by hand. Many places in the world use different date conventions. Use technology to clean your data. If you don't want brackets in phone numbers, strip them out on the back end rather than forcing users to do so, for example. Field size should indicate the amount of data needed. A CVV code text box should be smaller than a credit card number text box, for example. Where possible, validate inputs immediately. Do not clear the form if there is an error and make the user resubmit all their data again. Do mark fields with problems if you can't validate them at each point of input. And consider breaking long forms into multiple screens. And some final tips for great forms UX. You should remember that a form can feel like a conversation. The right language and approach will increase your users' trust in your company. And don't forget to allow users to save data and come back later. This is really important. The development of mobile as the dominant access platform really does mean that a lot of users will get distracted and need to come back later to complete a process. Please don't make that difficult for them. And the end of unit summary and multiple choice question. You have to collect data at points during user interaction. There's no way around it. And the right forms make that process painless for users and can even increase respect for your brand and product. The wrong forms will leave the user going elsewhere. The key points are make things easy, keep things clear to understand, make it easy to save the form and to fix any errors, and try not to delete any user data unless they want to delete it. The multiple choice question. What's the best way to lay out fields in a form? Horizontally? Vertically? Or doesn't it matter? Thanks very much for listening. See you next time.